And you've been in most of these closed-door depositions, but you were there for the full hearings today. Let me read you some reaction headlines that we have out there. The Washington Post editorial board says this: Kent and Taylor testified to Trump's corruption and more evidence is coming. MSNBC, impeachment day one, bricks of bribery evidence pile up against Trump. The Guardian, Democrats handled the impeachment hearing like pros, Republicans less so. What do you make of those assessments?
I don't know what hearing they were watching today. I was inside of the first floor of Longworth, the House Ways and Means Committee, where the House Intelligence Committee had occupied some space for the Schiff show. And they brought in two witnesses filled with second, third, fourth, no-hand information, not a lot of first-hand information. There was one significant thing that was first-hand information when Bill Taylor said that he was able to confirm Ukraine did not know that there was a hold on Ada until August 29th. That's important. But when you're telling us, for example, that Tim Morrison told you that Ambassador Sondland told Morrison that the president told Sondland that, really? This is your star witness, someone who's coming in and telling us second, third, fourth hand plus information. It was not a good day. And the strategy of selectively leaking texts, certain aspects of the transcripts, the deposition that took place in the basement of the Capitol, I think backfired here because Democrats around the country were maybe coming in rooting for, with higher expectations, certain new facts to come out to life. They learned nothing new. They might have learned that some of what they thought was firsthand was actually third and fourth hand. But they also got to see the other side of the story. And I think being able to hear from answering questions from Republicans to Taylor and Kent allow people who are actually independent-minded to maybe learn something new. And I think that the argument in favor of impeachment is weaker now than it was this morning.
Okay, you've questioned Bill Taylor because as part of the one of the closed-door depositions, you were able to ask him some questions. You asked him about his impressions of what the president was, how to characterize what he was asking for on the phone call. We have a little bit of that. This is the transcript from some of your questioning. You asked him about his impressions of what the president was asking for with respect to the 2016 investigations or the Bidens, and you said, oh, your source is the New York Times. He said, yes. You said, so do you have any other source that the president's goal in making this request was anything other than the New York Times? He says, I haven't talked to the president. I have no other information from what the president was thinking. So that's, I mean, he's an ambassador. He does have sourcing and second and third hand people giving him information. But for one of the key assessments, you pinned him down on the fact that he got it from the New York Times.
Yeah, I didn't know where he got it from. I thought he was going to tell me a person. And his answer was the New York Times. So then I asked some follow-up questions, and then he reveals that his only source was the New York Times. And basically what was happening, he was taking a quote from Rudy Giuliani and then creating presumptions and inferences and trying to tie it to the president. I mean, come on, your only source is the New York Times. Give me a break.
Okay, so for those who are pointing to issues of hearsay and second and third hand testimony, Democrats will then point back at you guys and point to the White House and the president and say, they're the ones that are blocking the people who could give us firsthand information. There was an invitation for the president to show up. But when it comes to people like Mick Mulvaney and John Bolton, they say, you guys are the reasons that we're not hearing from firsthand sources because Republicans, the White House, the president, whoever it is, won't let them come.
Actually, we're hearing from the best firsthand source when President Zelensky speaks out. And he has on multiple occasions saying he felt no pressure. There was no quid pro quo. There was nothing inappropriate. On multiple occasions, he's come out and said that. Ukraine, as I just pointed out with Ambassador Taylor, he admitted that Ukraine didn't know that there was a hold on aid until August 29th. Shortly thereafter, the aid gets released. And Ukraine had to do absolutely nothing in order to get that hold on aid released. That's the firsthand information that proves there's no quid pro quo. They said quid pro quo, then they used a new word of the day became extortion. Their new word of the day became bribery after that. I don't care what shiny object you want to show the American public with your moving goalposts. The fact is what Ukraine didn't know and what they did know and what they actually had to deliver. Let's just look at what President Zelensky said. The proof is right there in the pudding.
All right, Congressman Zeldin, great to have you in.